For this one, you guys have to write the equation of the line, right? So what would you look for to come up with the equation? How would you?
Y-intercept.
Very
And
good.
the slope.
Okay, so the y-intercept, what'd you get for the y-intercept?
1x for 1.
1. And then how do you figure the slope out?
Go right down.
Up
How
or
much the
over?
next point? 2.
Up and over. Right, so the equation of the line should be y equals?
2 plus 1.
All right. What must the slope of the line perpendicular to that one be? No. Okay. So pop a 1 under the 2, right? Yeah. Okay, now you want to do the negative reciprocal. And reciprocal means to flip like the fraction. So negative 1/2. Now, do you guys know like the upside down T stands for perpendicular? And then I put like a little M. So like I'm very big on writing like that's my perpendicular slope so that you remember that, okay, there's my perpendicular slope. And now we're going to use that, right? Okay, so draw a line perpendicular to the one shown that passes through this point. Okay, so our perpendicular slope, right, that was negative 1/2. And then the point that we're going to use is 1, 3. So what you guys have to do is, right, go to the point 1, 3. And then you count your slope. Negative 1 means I go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Then you do the reverse, up 1 over 2. And then use the little line feature. Make sure it's corner blue. Whee! Let me get our line. Write an equation of the line you drew in point slope form. Right? So now we have to remember that formula, right? The point slope form. Y minus y1. Okay. And then who's got it for me? Ryan, did you get it? Nice job. Y minus 3 equals negative 1/2. And then x minus 1. Nice job. And now they want you guys to figure out if that next point is that on that line. So what would you do for part E? Well, we got to prove it like algebraically. Plug it in, right? X and you'd want to plug that x and y in, right? So like you'd have negative 15 minus 3 is negative 1/2. And then what's the x? 30. And all you're trying to do is, now you're not trying to move anything, you want to see does the left side like equal that right side. Okay, so left side's easy to do. This is negative 18. And see what you get over here when you type that in. What do you get? Negative
29/2.
Oh, okay, which is negative 14.5. Yeah. If you guys are getting fractions, you can change your answers to decimals. And then this is obviously not equal. So it's not equal. So the point is not on the line. Those you guys that did, did you solve that for y and then type it into the calculator? It's the only other way. No? For those that said they use the, all right, what's linear modeling and why do we use it, right? So we're gonna use linear functions, right, to model like the proper language is how one variable changes with respect to another. Okay, and that's what like linear functions are able to tell us, right? So within word problems, based on the given information, you guys will be able to like if you're given something that represents a slope and a y-intercept, we want to use our slope intercept form, right, which is the y equals mx plus b. Right, so I'll show you an example of like when we're able to use the y equals mx plus b. So we want a linear function that gives d as distance d, right, as a function of the number of hours h. Anybody want to take a stab at it? A try? All right, so let's go up to what they gave you, right? They tell you that she is going at a constant speed, right? That's a keyword, constant speed of 58 miles per hour. What do you think that constant speed would represent? The slope, right? This would be your slope. And then she started how many miles away? 45. Very good. So then, what do you think, Lily?
I get H equals 58G plus 45.
Would say at the beginning again?
H equals 58G plus 45.
All right, so we have to flip around because it's 58 miles per hour. So the 58 is going to go with your h, right? Because that's 58 miles per every hour plus your 45. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it looks like in a function format, like to be proper, like for upper level. You would do like d of h, like that, like f of x. Now, you might, this is really fancy, and then sometimes you can write this. I don't like it so much. It's not bad, but it does say as a function. So like you'd want the fancy function notation, but for now, as long as if you can get that d equals, and then we work on getting the other notation. This will be fine for now. And then eventually we want to get you to be able to be like, all right, d of h, you know. But if it's easier now, it's fine to write the distance is going to equal to 58h plus 45. Okay, Brooke, you all right? Okay, and then usually after you guys create an equation, for the most part, the next part is always utilizing that equation, right? So how are we going to, anyone like to read B? All right, go for it. Miles, right? So 270 miles, that's going to be your D. H. And then how long it will take means you are solving for that H. So if you have trouble where you're like, I don't know where the 270 goes, you've got to read like, you know, it's saying miles, and that's what your D represents. Your D is your distance. Okay, so use your calculator. Solve that up. Oh, geez. It hasn't done that in a while. Yeah. Right, so we'll subtract the 45. I believe we get from there. We get 225. And then I'm a big fan of always showing me the decimal before you round it in case you guys make like a rounding error. I can see like where you made that error. So for this, it's, what did you guys get? It's gonna be like 3 point, well, before you rounded, I think it was,
87931.
yeah, that's fine. And then they want to the nearest 10. So your hours will be 3.9 hours. Okay, so that's using like your, sorry, using your y equals like mx plus b. Which is the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's going to create a point. Where you're going to have the 52 comma your cost, which is 1280, and that will be your point. Okay. Because we're representing, so now remember, we're trying to make the number of calls, right, with the amount she pays per month. So that means it's calls, comma, like your pay, that's your x and your y. So because she's making 52 calls, that's going to be your x, and she's charged 1280, that's going to be your y. So now you guys can use, ready? We could use the y minus y1 we can use this, right, to substitute in the given information, right? So what was it? It was 15 cents charge per call. So that's your slope, right? Okay, now instead of an x, I want to use the calls here. I want to use the c. And instead of a y, I want to use the p. So it's going to be p minus 1280 equals your 15 cents, right? And then c minus 52. Right? And that's in your point slope form. You guys okay with that? And now they want to know Yaroslav, right? How much is Julia's fixed cost, which would basically be your y-intercept, right? Yeah. Now you can do this a couple different ways, right? So we want to know the fixed cost, which is basically like a y-intercept. So that means you're making 0 phone calls, right? You could use the equation, right, and plug in what for C? 0. So we could utilize this. You could go like this if you wanted. Yep.
I thought we had to solve for the x.
Yeah, that's yeah. So you could also, that's another way, is you could actually solve this out. It doesn't say here, it says to create it in point slope form. So you can leave it. A lot of kids, you do get into a habit of solving it. So one way is you can plug 0 into here, right? And then I'll show you what you had done, Diana. This would be like 0.15 times negative 52, right? Use your calculator for this. That's going to give you guys, it's like a negative, what, 780? And then when you add this over, you're going to get that you're going to pay how much? 5. Now, what you were saying, Diana, is you took the equation, right, and you solved it for P? Yeah. This one? So that's another like technique, right? You could take this right, and you could. It's basically you're doing the same thing. You're just finding the actual y-intercept. So either way is like acceptable. And then you get that you're going to pay 15 cents per seat plus 5. And then you'd want to state that it's going to be 5. Okay. So there's always like each widget sells for 26 cents, which means that the revenue they're going to gain is this revenue equation, 0.26 times every widget they sell, right? That's how much you would make. Your revenue is how much you make for every sale of an item, okay? A cost equation is what you put out, like when you are making something. In this case, they're making these widgets. So we want to work on how to, let me here, clear out anything. There might be a bunch in there. You want to clear them out. We'll put in the cost one, right? You got 0.18 x plus 20.64. And then we have the 0.26 x. Now, if you only want to see one at a time, you guys know like how you can turn, I can turn on and off the equals symbol. Okay, like so if I hit enter on top of the equals, I can turn an equation on and off. All right, it's kind of good like when you are just trying to see maybe one of them at a time. Okay, so when we hit graph, problem is you're not going to see this because these numbers are too big. They did give you an interval, right, for your x's. They give you a domain. So we're going to go to the window, right? They said that it's going to go from 0 to 500. Now, we probably do not want to go by a scale of 1. Just pick a number that you guys think would be nice. For 500?
Oh, 500.
Maybe 10 or even 100, right? Like, you could try it. We could try 10 if you want, or you could do 100. It doesn't matter. 100 will really space it out. Now, our y mins, sometimes we're going to have to like look at our table to kind of get your y min. I'm going to leave it for right now, hit graph, and like you still don't see anything. So what you want to do is if you go to your table, let me go down to, oh God, we should do, I'm going to change my table to go by the same thing, like by tens, right? Just to make it a little bit easier. Let me go back. All right, so these numbers are going up pretty high, right? They're in the 40s, the 50s. So I'm going to go back to my table set. It's second window. Oh, wait, no, window. Sorry, my window. I'll do like 0. Oh, no, God, come on. 0, and then maybe we pick like 100, just because we don't know and we want to kind of see. So you do, it takes a lot of playing around with a little bit for you guys to like maybe see a graph. There we go, we got a graph, right? I'm gonna turn the other one back on. Let me turn this guy back on. Hit graph, and you'll see them. So obviously you see the red, which was the revenue. That guy did start at 0, right? And it goes up. They're like, oh. This one, we could figure out the y-intercept. We could look at the chart. We can just do it algebraically. What we want to practice is, how do you find where they cross? This is the part B part. Okay, so before we draw them, well, no, we could just draw them. Let's sketch them a little bit. All right, where are we? Okay, so let's sketch them out. So, oh my God, my red was revenue, right? R for red. So you know the 0 right, is going to be here. And then this guy kind of went like up. It's all approximate. I'm going to do like 150 here. I don't know. You just kind of go. It's all an approximation, right? We know that the other one, where would the cost equation start on the y-axis? Where would that guy start?
Like,
How can you give me an exact number?
I have to look.
Where do you look? Well, no, what about here?
Oh,
Yeah, about that 20.64, right? So that will be like 10, 20-ish, right? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I'll make that guy 100. Again, it's not going to be like perfect. This is not perfect at all, but you're getting the idea, right? Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Your homework's the next two. You know, you're good. All right. Now we want to use the intersect command. This is what I wanted to show you guys, right? To see like where they're intersecting. Okay. To find how many widgets that must be produced for your revenue to equal your cost. Okay, this was your cost. No, that was revenue. Hold on. That was my revenue. So on your calculator, you guys have like, right above trace is the word calc. And this is where you can do a lot of different things. So if you hit second trace, you see that there's like, we can find certain values. We can find the zeros. You can find min and maxes. We want to use the intersect command, which is number 5. So you just hit 5. It's going to ask you for the first curve. So I'm going to just slide it over a little bit. You see how it's, for me, it's on the blue. So I hit enter. And now it will jump to the red, right? So I'm going to move that guy a little bit. It always asks for a guess anytime you guys are using the calculate area. So you just hit enter. And now it's going to tell you that when x is 258, that's where they are intersecting. And that's going to be the number of widgets that are sold, right? Where your cost is equal to your revenue. Right? And that's using a little intersect command. So the number of widgets will be 258. Right, kind of cool. So you can see when things are equal just by using that intersect command. And then the next part, just want you guys, like, they tell you if profit is defined, create an equation, right? And this would be like the last thing we do. So our profit, we would take our revenue, right, which is the 0.26W, minus, and then what do you think we have to put that? Oh, it didn't? You might just have to move them closer to the, so the idea when you use the, so when you use the intersect command, right, second calc, intersect, you want to move the cursor kind of near where you think the intersect is happening, right? And I hit enter, enter, yes, and try it again. See if it like, see if that dot is close to it. Or Lily, also just check what's the cost equation. They give it to you. It's given to you. Remember, this is the cost right here.
Oh,
Okay, but what should I write here though? Very important if we're subtracting them. Parentheses. Very good, Ollie. If you don't put the parentheses, you will get like a different answer, which will change your profit equation. And now we do have to simplify this. right? Because this final number for your profit does always have to be a negative. Um, we do a lot of this in the next course, and then this will just become profit. What you guys should get 0.08W. And we're just gonna pause there. Like a lot of this then is using that to create a graph. We'll take a break.